Hi, welcome back. In my last video, I went over all the benefits to carnivore, and this video, I wanted to talk to you all today about how to get started on the carnivore. Let's get started in 2026. So, getting started on the carnivore, what does that mean? Let's first of all start of what carnivore even is, what keto even is. Being in ketosis means that your body is no longer burning carbs for energy, it is burning fat. And so, obviously, when you're burning fat, you have ketones. And the ketones are basically what you want to be in, is your body producing a bunch of ketones. Again, I'm not a medical provider, but I am, a 2.5 year carnivore. So I have a lot of things that have soaked in over the years. But I'll tell you my best and my non-professional opinion on what worked for me and how you can get started to feel better and to lose weight. So, getting in ketosis, what does that mean? Well, ketogenic diet is basically 25 carbs a day and under, and carnivore is going a little bit more extreme. You're going to zero carbs or as very few carbs as you can. Carnivore is strictly meat based. Carnivore, if you think about it, is they call it also the lion diet. And because our digestive system is set up kind of like a lion, we're not, apes or the animals that eat plants. I think koala bears have digestive systems to digest plants, and our bodies are meant to be carnivore. So, and I know that because it worked for me, right? In my previous video, I talked about, my dresser used to look like a pharmacy. It had the salon pause, everything, anything for pain for my back. It had, 5 different medications: blood pressure, prediabetes, anything, the depression. I just had a medicine. Sometimes I was on prednisone to get the inflammation down. Many times antibiotics. It seemed like I was doing antibiotics, 3 or 4 times a year. So the carnivore diet has completely eliminated the need for antibiotics. It's crazy that the pharmaceutical companies out there are making so much money off of us being inflamed. What is inflammation? Inflammation is basically, and that's what carbs do to you, carbs and sugar. They keep your body inflamed. And so in the first few weeks of the carnivore diet, when you are, eliminating things and getting rid of the sugars and the carbs, sometimes your body's adjusting from going from burning carbs to burning fat. And sometimes that can bring a little bit of tiredness, some gut issues. As I mentioned before, you can get some skin flare ups. But as soon as you get through it, we're not going to talk about all the bad things, because all the good things. The good things are I've lost 77 pounds. Again, I'll do some before and afters for encouragement. But the skin, the hair, the teeth, the nails, everything changes. So in your first little bit of carnivore, you want to keep your carbs under 25 a day. And so that's kind of hard to do. But if you really, really watch the condiments you're using, a lot of seasonings have sugar in it. Almost every product, it's so hard to buy anything. That's why I just stick to meat. It's just easy for me. I don't have to read a label, well, except for these days, to make sure it's real meat. But basically, a lot of the seasonings, you have to be careful. Like the second label on the food label, the second ingredient is sugar. So you have to be careful of seasonings. Also condiments. Ketchup, the only condiment that I've really used in the last few years is mustard. And there's clean mustard that you can buy without any sugar. It's just mustard and salt, mustard seed and salt, and water. So mustard is something I've used, but basically I'm seasoning my food with good sea salt, and it's lovely. Your taste buds change. At first, you're going to fight against it. I promise. I went through all of the withdrawals from the seasoning down to the coffee creamer. It was really hard to not have ketchup, but you're not having the French fries. Some people like ketchup on their eggs, so you just get used to it. You just cook your eggs in a lot of butter. I didn't mention in my last video, but butter is our friend. I have butter at least 3 or 4 tablespoons a day just cooking with my food. I'm not really, there's a lot of carnivore influencers out there that will talk about having, butter, just biting off a stick of cold butter when you're getting those carb cravings that are coming back. I haven't been able to do that. That hadn't worked for me. But if I butter my food and give my food a little bit of a better taste, I can incorporate the butter. Butter is very, very healthy for you. There are so many vitamins in the butter. So let's talk about only meat. Okay, so, you know, you don't have to be perfect, okay? They say you want to strive for progress, not for perfection, okay? So I think that's why I was able to stick to it after the 90 days. When I first started the diet, I was doing more keto, trying to stay under 25 carbs a day. I just didn't think no way that I'd ever be able to do zero carbs. I really loved my avocados. I can't think of anything else. I loved my mayo. You can make carnivore mayo now, which I've learned to do. But there was a few carbs in my diet. My cheat days, there was really no cheat days, but if I was giving myself a little lenience, I guess you could say, I did cauliflower crust pizza. If we had like a pizza night at home and my kids were eating pizza, I would feel left out. And so I would go and get one of those carnivore crusts. And then make a meat lovers pizza with, I wouldn't do the sauce. I'd do the cheese and the meat lovers. But, there's plenty of carbs in that cauliflower crust, and plus it's highly processed. So there was a lot of other ingredients. So I wasn't doing my body justice. My body really needed to heal. And I really didn't start the heavy duty weight loss and the fast weight loss until I went all the way carnivore with the zero carbs. And but my body had time to repair itself, even in the ketogenic state, on the ketogenic diet. But when I went full carnivore, that's when I really started to feel the benefits. My skin started to, increase its, collagen, I guess you could say. My teeth really started to obey. My back pain went away. So what do we do? How do we start? Well, the first thing you need to do is get all the carbs out of your closet and out of your cupboards and out of your refrigerator. Now, I know you might have children, you might have other family members that live with you, so you can't just throw everything in the trash. But I would definitely make a cabinet just for the other family members, or a cupboard that's just theirs, so that every time you're opening your cupboard, that you're not seeing their foods. At first, it might seem hard, but I promise you, once you have your why and you start seeing the benefits. I was telling my sister a few days ago that, at our Christmas party, there was every kind of Christmas goodies on this table that the company was doing for us. And I cupcakes and cookies and every kind of Christmas decoration there was. And everybody was enjoying it. But as I walked by it, there was no food noise. They looked like decorations to me. Nothing was calling out. It wasn't the old sugar like Heather, It wasn't that old calling. Just thinking about cookies, I would gain 3 pounds, right? Because I was already eating it in my mind. So the cravings do go away. Maybe the other thing that you're thinking of is, well, I'm not getting my vitamins from the kale and the fruits and vegetables. Well, you don't need them. The meat, if you eat, you need to have red meat. I try and eat some red meat every day. There are some that can't tolerate it if you have gallbladder issues. So you need to get some other kind of fatty meat. And so if that's going to be pork bacon, hopefully you can tolerate eggs and you don't have any allergic issues to those, because eggs, you can eat pretty much every meal. You're going to think this is crazy, but I have about 5 eggs a day. There is a lot of eggs in my diet, and eggs saved me. They're very satiating. They have a lot of the omega-3s, a lot of the other vitamins that our body needs. But it's crazy. I didn't do any kind of exercise regime. On other diets, I made sure I had a gym membership. I was going 3-4 times a week. I made sure I had the cardio in. maybe you're exercising and that's all good. I'm just saying that you don't have to, the carnivore is extreme, but you can do so much with just eating right. In my last 40 pounds that I'm getting ready to lose, I have a New Year's resolution. I really, after I eat, especially my last meal of the day, I have so much energy and I've got to get the protein is just giving my body a charge. And so I want to go for a walk. And so there's walks many times every day. Just after I eat, it's not to lose weight. It's just because I have energy and I need to burn it off. Okay. But I have incorporated stretching, a lot of stretching exercises. Just I'm trying to give my muscles in 2026 just a real awesome rebound. But the protein, getting as much protein and fat that you're getting, it's not putting more fat on. When you eat fat, your body burns fat because it learns how to burn it as you're eating it and giving it that fuel. If you're combining the protein with the carbs, that's where your health issues are going to come in. So you really, really, really have to make this work and to benefit you, you've got to cut the carbs out. And again, we're not striving for perfection. We just need you to get started. You can tweak things as you go, right? You can tweak things. Oh, like I said, the scale wasn't my friend. I noticed how my body was feeling, the energy that I had, how my clothes were fitting, my brain clarity, my teeth, not having to call the doctor on emergency visits every few months, not having to be on antibiotics for different things. And so I just listened to my body. The scale at first wasn't really telling me the true story of what was going on, and it was really hard. I was so used to getting on that scale after being on a diet and going, oh, there's my motivation. I've lost another 5 pounds or I've lost 10 pounds. But I really had to just stay off the scale and trust the process. I had to trust the process. The process is you continue to eat meat every day and get fat adapted, and your body will heal and you will lose weight if that's your goal. Also, there's a lot of carnivores that are trying to gain weight, and so adding the more protein is helping them do the opposite. But my video and my goal for you is to teach you what I did and what worked for me, and try and help you be as successful. So what do you need to buy? What are you going to do? So you're going to get started. You're going to get your kids' stuff in their cabinet. You definitely, if you have any kind of like ice cream that's in the freezer, especially for you, if you have any low-fat milk, low-fat cheese, you want to get rid of that. So, give it away, whatever that means for you to get rid of it. But get it out of the kitchen so that you're not tempted to use it when you're ready to cook and you're trying to get something done quickly. So you want whole milk products. If you are going to use dairy, a lot of clean carnivores have no dairy at all. And that is another goal of mine for 2026. To just I'm still tweaking my journey too, right? So I've got my last few pounds to lose, 40 pounds to lose. And so those are some of the things that I'm going to be cutting down. I'm going to be cutting down on dairy. I found so many fun dairy things to cook with, and it was helpful. Cottage cheese, whole milk cottage cheese, bread, where you can make, instead of the cauliflower crust, I was doing the cottage cheese bread. Tons of videos online. Try and put some links down below. But again, if you're first getting started, find the recipes that you can work with. So you want to go dairy and meat. That's about it. No nuts, no fruit, and no vegetables. I know it's completely opposite of everything that we've learned all our lives in school, all our lives from nutritionists, our doctors. You've got to get the vegetables in. But the vegetables produce oxalates. There are a ton of things, they say vegetables are trying to kill us. There's pesticides in our vegetables these days. And also a lot of vegetables, when they grow, they want to grow big. And so they have, poisoning in them to poison some of the predators that are coming to eat it. And so those are the things that are going into our system, and we're unable to digest it. We are not panda bears. We're lions. We are meant. Our human ancestors foraged for meat. And if they did have berries back in the day, the berries were very tart. Nowadays, berries, grapes are just sugar bombs for your body, okay? Carrots, everything has been altered, genetically altered. So nothing is like it was, in the caveman days when they were able to have forage on berries when they were available. So you've really got to cut that stuff out because you want to be successful. And if you're going to go without the carbs and you're going to move to fat adapted, the best thing to do is just to do an elimination. Maybe down the road when you get to maintenance, you'll find that you can stand, maybe a few berries. Maybe, the milk products aren't bothering you at all. But I would like to see a little bit. I don't want it to be another 2 years, right, for 40 pounds. So I'm going to tweak some things in what I'm doing. And hopefully you and I both can learn together on, the final 40 pounds and your first 50 pounds. So when you go to the grocery store to get started after you've cleaned out your cabinets, the next step is to stay in the outside aisles, okay? You want to avoid anything in the center aisles unless you have to get diapers or something like that for your children. But you want to stay on the outside aisles and you want to avoid the produce department, okay? And so the outside aisles would be the meat department and the dairy department. And the meat department, I always go to where the sale meat is first. Whatever's on sale, I try and buy. I watch sales. I'll go specifically during a sale and stock up and put things in my freezer, cut it down into different portions. I do try and meal prep 1 day a week so that I'm not having to think about, what am I hungry for? I just know what's prepped and it's a little bit easier for me. And I think it will be for you too. So things I prep, I do, eggs and bacon are my favorite in the morning, as I've previously mentioned. So I'll do a kind of like an egg casserole. You can even do them in the muffins, kind of like the old Starbucks egg bites. Gosh, those are good. But our egg bites, you can put cottage cheese in them, mixed with eggs, and I put hamburger meat or sausage, and then bacon on the top and a little bit of regular cheese, block cheese. And I bake that in the oven, and then I separate it into 5 containers, and then I've got my 5 breakfasts. And I try and eat breakfast by about 10 o'clock in the morning, or as soon as I'm hungry, but I force myself for sure to have breakfast by 10 o'clock. Previous video, I mentioned that it's really good to have 3 meals a day. And when you first start carnivore, you really will want to do that because you want to get to satiety. You want to eat as much as possible until you're full, happily satiated, okay? And 3 meals a day should do it. Now, I, for a little while, went down to OMAD where I was not hungry at all and I was only doing 1 meal a day, and I barely could get that down. And it wasn't because I was tired of meat. It was just because my body was not hungry. That it gets rid of the gremlin. Is that the word? I can't, oh my gosh, the hormone that makes you say that you're hungry. That's what eating only meat does. It gets rid of the hunger. It's kind of like what the GLP-1 does for your body, but just eating meat only and 0 carbs will give you the same effect as the GLP-1. Okay? So you're at the grocery store, there's nothing really on sale. You want to go and get a big thing of hamburger. Maybe, I don't know, they do 5 pounds. What is it? 5 pounds or 10 pounds now. And you'll break that down, into 1 or 2 pound servings, depending on if you're feeding yourself or your family. And you'll split that up. The next kind of staple in my house is definitely eggs. I buy a very big container of eggs or several of them every week. We go through a lot of eggs. So you can have scrambled eggs, poached eggs, deviled eggs. You can dip chicken in the eggs and fry the chicken. There's so many things you can do with the eggs. You can make the egg casserole for breakfast, right? So we eat a lot of eggs. And then I definitely do bacon. Costco has a really good non-sugar bacon. But I'm told that even the sugar that the bacon is cured in is really not bad for you. It's not like it's not prepared with the food and highly processed. So even the bacon that does have some sugar content on it, don't be too afraid when you're first getting started. You can tweak things later. Get the bacon, get the $3.99, the $4.99 bacon. For some reason, I don't do well with a brand called, I don't know if I'm allowed to say it, but Oscar Mayer. I don't do well with that brand. I flare up a little bit. So I try and do the thick bacon. Right bacon at Kroger is great. There's no sugar in that one, but Kroger bacon isn't too bad. Just don't get like the maple, the added maple syrup ones. Get the smoked bacon. Okay, what else are we going to get? Sausages. Be a little bit careful. Some of the sausages do have, are made with like whey product. But I do it. I'll definitely, if it's on sale, I'll get a bunch of sausage, and that'll be something that I'll make my meals with and add to my meals for extra flavor. To be honest with you, I've done, liverwurst and bologna and hot dogs. Costco has a great all beef hot dog, very inexpensive. I think there was 3 packages of the beef hot dogs that I got for like $15. That literally, your kids are gonna love. You're gonna love as a snack. You can throw them all on the grill, and then you can just eat them, or I boil them, fry them up in a pan. Sometimes they're my snack if for some reason I get hungry, or if I don't have time to cook, or my meal prep hasn't happened yet. So I use those all meat hot dogs from Costco a lot, and it's meat and salt, so you can't go wrong, right? Crazy, I'm eating hot dogs and losing weight, right? Could you have ever thought? It's the hot dog with the bun that's the problem, okay? It's the hot dog with the bun with the ketchup, right? Oh, what else do we have with hot dogs? We have the chips and French fries, okay? So don't be afraid. You will get full, and you will not think about those other sides that you used to have with it. You just will. Sometimes I'll do a hot dog as like one of my sides. If I've made, I don't know, I've made some chicken thighs, and I've got 3 chicken thighs on my plate. I just want something else on the plate to make me feel like I'm, having more than just chicken. So I will do hot dogs, a couple of hot dogs on the side. So there's so many things you can do. A lot of the carnivores that do dairy, fry cheese, that's lovely, but you want to fry it in the beef tallow, and you don't want to use vegetable oil or olive oil, even avocado oil. I used avocado oil for like a spray for things when I first got started, but again, it wasn't serving me. It just seemed like it just would give me a weight loss stall. Sometimes I'd wake up with joint pain. So I just cut out the avocado oil and the avocados altogether finally. And again, that's when my success started to come in. When we had like a little bit of a furlough at work, and so my budget was a little low, I really couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford to add the extras in. So I would get just the meat to make sure that it was going to sustain me, and enough of it. So bacon, eggs, and chicken. That's probably the lowest cost carnivore meals that I can think of off the top of my head right now. And then I would really try and get into my budget some kind of a steak. Your ribeye steak, there's a lot of lower cost steaks. You don't have to get the sirloin or the Wagyu, right? The ribeye, okay, I had never even cooked a ribeye before the carnivore diet. I did love steak, and I would get steak, but you can get ribeye for a really good deal. You can also get like the steak for stewing, and you can put that in the crock pot, let it go for 6 hours. I just add salt. I don't even add anything to it. It makes its own juices. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of bone broth or beef broth in there if I do want a little bit of more like of a soupy thing, and then I save the drippings to use as flavor on another meal. Okay, like maybe if I'm making hamburger or hamburger soup, I'll use some of the broth from the crock pot. So but if I'm just looking for some tasty meat, I put it in there with some sea salt. It is so satiating. I can't even hardly explain it. You'll have to go find out for yourself. But again, if you really do want more than just meat, there are other carnivore meals and recipes out there. I'm going to just give a shout out to Courtney Luna. She has a cookbook. Jenny Mitch just came out with the carnivore cookbook, Carnivore 101 on how to get started. So Jenny Mitch, Courtney Luna, some of the other carnivore influencers that you'll love, and you'll go and check them out after you're done watching my video. But the Carnivore Quest with Larry and Cassie, I want to give them a shout out because, you know, they really have documented the carnivore journey, their fails, their successes. They've been doing this for about as long as I have, for about 3 or 4 years. And it's just awesome to watch, you know, them be human. You know, Larry and Cassie have gone on and off the carnivore, and so they tell their challenges. And basically, if you do cheat and you want to get right back on track right away, but you're almost starting at day one again. Once you put that sugar in your body remembers, oh, carb burning. I don't need to be fat burning anymore. I'll go to carbs, and it's going to store. And it's going to be not as hard as starting fresh, but it is almost day one again. And so you have to tell yourself, do I want that 30 minutes of pleasure? Maybe only 10 minutes of pleasure, depending on what you're eating. Do you want that 10 minutes of pleasure? You want that poison in your body? And then just to have to start again and have to deal with ailments, you know, headaches, joint pain, teeth pain, breakouts. You might get a breakout from just eating that one piece of pie, or that bag of chips, or you know, having that one soda. So can you have sugar-free stuff on carnivore? I have. There is a lot of the sugar-free sweeteners that are actually, allulose is really good for you. There's benefits to allulose. Now, sometimes if you have the sugar-free stuff, it might bring the cravings back, but it helped me to taper off because, you know, I was drinking sugar all day long, and I just, you know, I needed the Diet Coke at first, or the Diet Dr. Pepper. I did a little bit of the sweeteners in my coffee, the sugar-free sweeteners, like the vanilla flavor in my coffee. You know, some of my electrolytes that I do have the sugar-free, and I haven't had any issues. I still do not have the food cravings. I do not crave carbs and sugar. So it hasn't done that for me. But, you know, they say you have to be a little bit careful about the sweeteners because it can trick your body into, you know, craving more, even though it's not giving you the calories or the carbs, which is our goal, right, is to be in ketosis. But it will trigger some other things. And, you know, some people don't even like the sugar-free stuff. So it might not be bothersome to you. But anyway, I'm going to end this video. I hope that this helps. I'll be back with more information about what I did on my journey, what's helped me, and see if I can help you too. I'm just so glad you're here. Thank you for clicking on my video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.
Okay, let's go.